What's up, guys? It's Benny. Everybody has a breaking point. We're all human after all, and I was worried in seeing the catastrophic scorched earth fallout of the Trump administration's mishandling of the Epstein files and this case that it would have contagion effects on some of the other individuals inside of federal law enforcement who've taken massive pay cuts and done an enormous amount of self-sacrifice in order to get into these positions. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Bongino has left his office inside of the FBI over the handling of the Epstein files and case, with Attorney General Pam Bondi having the clash point here. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino took the day off of work on Friday after clashing with the White House, at the White House, with Attorney General Pam Bondi over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Four sources familiar with the conflict told Axios. Why it matters. The dispute erupted Wednesday amid the fallout from the administration's walking back its claims in the Epstein by determining the convicted sex offender didn't have a celebrity client list and that he wasn't murdered in his New York City prison cell in 2019. Bongino didn't come to work on Friday, leading some insiders to believe that he had quit. The administration officials saying that he's on the job as internal tension over the Epstein case explodes. Zoom in. At the center of the argument, a surveillance video from outside of Epstein's cell. The administration release saying that it was proof that nobody had entered the room before he killed himself. We've broken that down. It's absolute garbage. It's just a matter of fact. It is garbage. It's not true. The video of the cell is not a video of the cell. Even here, this reporting is wrong. A video outside of Epstein's cell. It's not outside of Epstein's cell. You can't see even the tier block. It's just an entry to the floor where Epstein was kept. You don't even see the door of Epstein's tier, much less Epstein's door. You don't see anything having to do with Epstein at all. So to say that this was conclusive, there were minutes missing that nobody even tried to explain. Listen, if there's an explanation, then give it to us. But there was no explanation. And the one that we got from Pam Bondi was insane. We just delete minutes all the time. Well, that seems wrong. Shouldn't that be something that we fix? There's just minutes deleted all the time. There were people coming and going. Nobody explained that. In the video, there are at least 7 people that come in and out of the floor. Nobody explains who they are. Nobody names them. Nobody says whether they're supposed to be there. The whole thing's a nightmare. When you actually study the video, I think they weren't counting on people, on autists, studying the video. We sure did. The 10-hour video had been widely called Missing Minute, fueling conspiracy theories about a cover-up. The Missing Minute, authorities say, stemmed from an old surveillance recording system that goes down every day at midnight to reset anew. Seems like a bad system, but at the very least prove to us that it happens every single night. Couldn't you show us footage of dozens of nights and say, hey, this just happens every night, don't worry about it? Seems odd. Bongino, who pushed the Epstein conspiracy theories on his MAGA-friendly podcast before President Trump appointed him to lead the FBI, found the video and touted it publicly privately as proof that Epstein did not and had not been murdered. That conclusion, shared by FBI Director Kash Patel and other conspiracy theorists turned insiders, angered many Trump MAGA-based criticisms, as Axios first reported and release of the video and related memo. After the video's missing minute was discovered, Bongino was blamed internally for the oversight, according to 3 sources. 2 sources familiar with Bongino's position said he was increasingly displeased with Bondi's handling of the Epstein case because she had publicly overpromised and underdelivered on disclosures of the Epstein client list. Let me just say this. That's correct. I know some of these things to be true. Some of these things I think we're going to have to depend on other reporting. But I know this to be true because I've called the FBI and I've called the DOJ and I've called the White House. And I've spoken with people who have the impeccable credentials on this stuff. And people are not happy with how this has been handled. And the reality of this in particular, there are other, this isn't the same for everything, but for this in particular, all of the evidence is at Main Justice. The evidence of the Epstein case lies within Main Justice, lies within the Southern District of New York. The FBI has virtually nothing because the FBI, they're an intelligence agency that turns over all their evidence for prosecutions. They were going to prosecute Epstein, prosecute Ghislaine Maxwell. They turned it all over. That is the system. That is the process, whether you like it or not. And so people are very frustrated at like the timing of all of this. It all stems from main justice. It comes from main justice. And then the an insane memo saying that, hey, there's nothing to see here, move on. That was unsigned. It was released and leaked for some reason to Axios. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Now Axios up with this story. Two sources familiar with Bongino's position say he was increasingly displeased with Bondi's handling of Epstein. She had publicly overpromised and underdelivered. That's right. That's what I've heard as well. That's what my sources have told me as well. That they're frustrated about the rollout, but especially all the media hits talking about it and talking about binders on my desk and files on my desk and thousands of videos. The intrigue. MAGA influencer Laura Loomer, a Bondi critic, wrote on Friday that Bongino and Patel were furious the way that Bondi had handled the case. Some Trump advisors had criticized Bondi, but Trump loves Pam and thinks she's great, a senior White House official said. Those witnessing the Wednesday clash between Bondi and Bongino in the White House were Patel, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and Taylor Bundowich, Deputy Chief of Staff. During the meeting, Bongino was confronted about a News Nation article that said he and Patel had wanted more information released about Epstein, but were held back. Bongino denied leaking that idea. Pam said her piece, Dan said his piece, and it didn't end on friendly terms, one person briefed on the heated discussion said. Bongino left very angry. Fact is that Dan was for releasing the information with the video and had no problem until he got heat online, senior administration official said. Bongino found the video, missing minute. He vouched for it after a thorough review. He said that this would be the end of the matter. When that didn't work, he lost his mind and ran out of D.C., according to a source. Said a pro-Bongino source, Dan is not the bad guy here. He shouldn't take the fall. Yikes. This is what we always feared would happen. As we have said many times, we are friends with these individuals. Some of the clips of these individuals that have gone so viral lately are from our show. We don't want to see the meltdown. We don't want to see the blow up. This is what happens when you do things incorrectly. You have the contagion like this. And this is what happens when you do stuff with. This is the fallout. The team was working really well, and then when you have a catastrophic nightmare like this with the base, that could cost. I'm not going to enumerate it. It could just cost people a lot, right? When you're seen, when you are perceived to be lying by the base, it's bad. The blowup involving Trump senior law enforcement officials showed just how much the administration has been rocked by his handling of the Epstein case. At different times, Bondi, Bongino, Patel each have complained to others that they were being unfairly blamed for the Epstein flap and hung out to dry. Bongino, former Secret Service agent, joined the administration, gaining prominence as a conservative podcaster, regular appearances on Fox News. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanch has decided to weigh in on all of this, saying, we all worked closely together on the memo. All of us signed off on the contents of the memo and the conclusion of the memo, which is an insane thing to say, given the fact that it's not signed, which I still can't get over. So here's that commentary. This is Todd Blanch. Seems like a totally upstanding dude. Met him a couple times. Nice guy. He was a great defender of Donald Trump. All right. Great defender of Donald Trump in all those trials. I work closely with Cash and Bongino on the FBI memo regarding the Epstein files. All of us signed off on the contents of the memo and conclusion of the memo, and the suggestion that anybody has daylight between the FBI and the DOJ leadership of the memo's composition is patently false. This is Todd Blanch coming out. He's cooking on a ratio on this one. Viva. I say this with utmost respect, without any snark or sass. The entire confusion stems from the fact that literally nobody signed it. It's undated and unsigned. Is it even legal, right, if it's an undated, unsigned memo? Nor did anybody take the responsibility for it. It was leaked and quietly uploaded to a DOJ website the next day. That is specifically the origin of all the confusion and controversy. Other than Carolyn Levitt's brief comment on the memo, nobody has even assumed authorship of it or presented it officially. It's such a bizarre point. People hypothesizing that the memo was fake, right? Perhaps a press conference to discuss this and its finding. Instead of letting like all these little things like fester and go viral, how come nobody signed their name into the memo, right? My sources at the FBI wanted to release more information about Jeffrey Epstein and Bondi. DOJ said no, and this caused tension between Bondi, Cash, and Bongino. Asking for transparency isn't difficult, says Loomer. Blondie is literally blowing up the Trump administration by concealing information. spending time on Fox News lying to the MAGA base and releasing contradictory statements. There is information that can be released to the public, and the public wants to see it. Why was the memo released on a Sunday night of the 4th of July weekend with no official signage or no names or administration officials? You only release memos on Sunday evenings on holiday weekends when you don't want anybody paying attention to the contents. Trump's team needs to read the room, and Bondi has been very damaging to the administration and damaged public trust in DOJ. She's hurting President Trump and his staff. She lied on national TV. She needs to be held accountable for harming Trump and the public trust. Well, this is all the news, man. That FBI, that Dan Bongino walked off the job. And this is now confirmed. Let's just see here. Axios says that this is true according to 4 sources familiar. I've called my sources, and they are not answering. I think I can tell you why. When you have look, they're not answering because it's true. It would be my experience is that they don't answer when it's true. They know what you're calling about. Scoop. This is Laura Loomer here. Let's see, when was this published? 10 a.m. today. This was published, this Axios article, also published today. Let's see if there's a dateline here. Developing story will be updated. Okay. All right. Published 28 minutes ago. There you go. Okay. So it looks like Laura Loomer might have had the scoop here. Anyway, just trying to give credit where credit is due. Cash and Dan Bongino are livid with AG Pam Bondi over DOJ memo and lack of transparency regarding Epstein files. Sources tell me Bongino is taking the day off work today, and there's now speculation as to whether he will return to his job at the FBI with disgust of Bondi's lack of transparency in handling the Epstein files. Pam Bondi has brought total embarrassment to President Trump. Cash Patel lied to the American people. I'm told Cash and Bongino are furious at the blowback this has caused, lack of transparency. I mean, that's just a matter of fact. No matter who you blame in all this has caused a crisis of confidence inside of federal law enforcement, which is sad because I believe that they really want, that this team really wanted to restore confidence in federal law enforcement. They would have taken this job if they didn't. I'm told Cash and Bongino are furious at the blowback. Cash and Dan should call for Blondie's public resignation, save themselves, and also push for full transparency of the Epstein files. This is an issue that the American people care deeply about, and somebody needs to be fired for this. Trump should just fire her. She shouldn't give her the courtesy of resigning. This is Laura Loomer. No fan of Pam Bondi, obviously, and we already knew this. And again, I've read to you the full statement from Todd Blanch. I'm trying to be fair here. This is what they say in response to this reporting. Axios says they have 4 sources. Axios is up with an article here, Laura Loomer, up at 10 a.m. this morning, with what seems to be the exact same sourcing. Like, what seems to be people saying the same thing, which is a strong argument, quite frankly, for this to be true. Because if Axios, who does not work with Laura Loomer, and Laura Loomer, who we know is well-sourced inside the Trump administration, that's just a matter of fact, if they're both saying the same thing, then that means that the sources should stand a muster, right, and be impeccable. As I've said, I've called, and my sources are not picking up. Which to me, in my experience, again, means that they know what I'm calling about and they know that it's true. That's just what I can say here. What's my snap takeaway from this? Because it's all breaking news right now. My snap takeaway from this is I hate it, and it's just such an unforced error, and I don't like it because I like Team Trump, and so many of them are my friends, and I want them all to work together, and I don't want this to be fallout and to be so destructive for people's. Everybody has a rep, right? And so do we, this channel. And I want to be honest with you. And I've read the comments, and everybody likes that we are just covering this fairly and honestly. And that's all we're ever going to do. And that's all the American people ever wanted from this. So you can't go in on a message of reform and a promise of reform and then say, shut up, stop asking questions. You can't do it. You can't do it. It's incontrovertible, right? That's my take. What's yours? Let me know in the comment section. It's your boy Benny. We'll keep dogging for the truth here, baby.